Welcome.
to Dark Narratives. I'm Isabella.
And I'm Alexandria.
I am really excited. So remember I told you initially that I was going to do a man-made disaster?
Yeah.
Okay, so just kidding. I'm not doing that right now because I couldn't wrap my head around the one that I was going to. I'm not going to tell you, but it wasn't the right time. I just could not wrap my head around it. So I moved on to something else that I wanted to. So we're going to talk about Disney.
Oh, like
we're going to
Walt
talk
Disney?
like Walt Disney. So we're going to talk about the different freak accidents that have led to death on Disney rides.
Oh, shit. I'm never going to want to go there.
Oh, I know. Okay. And we'll get into it. But as I was reading like some Reddit threads, I started to go down another hole. And I was like, oh, fuck. I can't even keep reading about this because that's like, I think there's going to be multiple Disney episodes because we have got the amusement parks, but then we also got the water parks. And then we have the abandoned water park. And then we have the underground Disney. And then we have the craziness of Disney princesses and how that whole dynamic.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
I actually know
there's
somebody
so
who
much.
worked there, who worked at Disney
Really?
for a bit. Yes. She actually works with me now.
What? How did you?
Yeah.
Wait, she lived what, in Florida or
California? She lived in Florida.
She American?
No, she's from Brazil.
Oh, okay. Cool. You're going to have to pick her brain and see if there's any crazy things that she's heard.
Yeah, I will. Okay. Keep going.
So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm sure that there's stuff that I didn't put in this episode. But again, I'm going to do multiple Disney episodes. So if you don't hear it in this and you're like, how could you not talk about this? That's like the most famous thing. There is so much when you start going down a deep dive. And also, sometimes you can't find like newspapers of this because nobody ever dies at Disney. Oh, and I also think that it's important to remember that not all, and I'll just let everyone know, my son, who's 1, is crawling around me, so you might hear him. I just want to say, I think it's important to remember that not all the hauntings, like the reports of hauntings and paranormal activity, are strictly based on the people who have passed away on the rides. And we'll get into this, but there is so much energy that has passed through this park on a daily basis, like 24/7. So many different personalities, so many people going through different things, that there could be, I think, in my opinion, I think there's probably a lot of like residual hauntings that are going on in the parks, as opposed to just strictly entities running around. That's my thought.
And I wonder if there are different energies attached to different rides and stuff like that.
Well, exactly. And that's kind of what we'll touch on a little bit, but again, so many rabbit holes. So I'm going to stick to the freak accidents that have led to deaths on some rides in the Disney parks, in the amusement parks, and some of the hauntings that I could find or activity that has been reported. So and I do want to just say, as like a funny little tidbit, when I was at Disney World, my dad loves the rides and I love rides too. But there was a time where my sister and my dad went into the Tower of Terror. I don't know if you've been on that ride. And I love rides, but for whatever reason, we're in the lobby of this Tower of Terror. Okay. And I'm like, I'm not fucking going on this. I'm not going on. But my dad, you're going on this ride. You're going to have fun. And like in a lighthearted way. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, no, I'm not going on this ride. But to him, I'm like, okay, well, I guess. So as soon as my dad turns his back, I bolt.
Oh my God.
I run and I go find my mom, who's outside of the ride. Imagine, as a parent, the terror.
Oh my God. He's stuck in line.
Right? He's stuck in line. Doesn't even leave to come find me.
Oh my God. He's got 2 other girls.
Well, because my youngest, he was really little at the time, so he had my middle sister with him. So my middle sister and him went on the ride, but I fucked off and went and found my mom. I was like, I'm not
It's
going
like
on
it
this.
turned into a true Tower of Terror.
It was so scary. I don't know. I just like I'm not in free fall, I guess. So I had to just say that because that's like if one of my kids did that, I'd probably vomit in the line. No, I wouldn't do that, but I'd be
on top,
terrified.
on top of them.
I just start throwing up. Where's my kid?
Oh my
That's
god.
terrible.
I'd pee my
Okay.
pants.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna talk about the monorail track. So that opened in 1959. And in my opinion, it kind of looks like even though it was opened back in that time, it looks a little
59?
59.
Holy.
And if you should look it up because it's got this crazy futuristic look to it. Like even now, but this opened in the
Monotrail?
50s. Monotrail, yeah.
Okay.
And it's it's supposed to be like a zero train to get visitors.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It reminds me of The Simpsons or something.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. And it just basically another thing to get people to point A to B really fast.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So in 1966, Thomas Cleveland was 19 years old at that time. He decided that on his graduation was going to sneak into the Disney park. Now, Disney would have these grad nights where they would host like an overnight thing for grads, but he was going to just sneak in and go see the rest of his grad class.
Okay.
So he sneaks in by climbing over a 16-foot fence and jumping. I know, like what? He jumps over onto the monorail track. And he was like, yes. And he's like, and the park was closed, so he thought he was fine. So his plan was to just follow the track quietly until he could get into the park and go see his grad class.
So he's walking on it.
So he's walking, running, whatever. Okay. He's trying to he's going to follow the track that leads to the park. But unfortunately, there was train moving on it. So a train was coming and he didn't see it.
Oh my god.
A nearby security guard was like, hey, trying to call him to say that a train's coming, but he's on a mission. He's trying to get into the park. So he's like, whatever, I'll just quickly dodge the security guard and get into the park. But the security guard was trying to tell him, no, there's a train coming. So moments later.
Obviously, he couldn't hear it, or there's no lights or anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this was a while ago. There's not a lot of like news report on it to get all of the little details. But yes, moments later, Thomas Cleveland was struck by the monorail.
Oh my god.
He was dragged 40 feet before the train finally stopped.
Oh my god.
Like, what the fuck?
Oh, that's gross.
I know. I hope nobody minds, but my 1-year-old's his Lego. So hopefully you guys think that's cute.
And yeah. Happy distraction.
Yeah, and I think like imagine that happening in general, but it happening in the night.
Ugh.
I hate everything about that.
Oh, and why were they running at nighttime?
I don't know. I would assume that the monorail kind of runs like because Disneyland also has the Disney Resort.
Okay.
So it might run like around the whole park grounds.
Oh, okay.
That is what happened on the monotrail. Now, there is some reports of some paranormal activity happening in this area. So sometimes there's reports of people seeing somebody running alongside the tracks, especially at nighttime. And I guess other security guards, like nowadays, they will report this, or like drivers of the monotrail, they'll report this. They'll say, I see somebody on the tracks, but as they get closer, just disappears.
Oh, that would be so creepy.
So in my head, I'm like, I hope that this is a residual haunting and it's not somebody just reliving what happened to them like over and over and over and over.
Yeah, no closure or anything
like stuck on a loop. Yeah. I hope it's just a bad, sad entity that's being over.
Yeah, I don't know. And to see that too, that would be horrifying.
Yeah, that'd be really scary and really sad. But yeah, so that is the monotrail. So next we'll move on to the people mover. I had never actually heard about that. I've only been to Disney World, not Disneyland, so I haven't really heard about the People Mover. But it opened in 1967. And if you also haven't seen this, it's basically, again, a transit system for visitors in the park to get to point A to point B. But they've made this one kind of like a little ride. So it's got a bunch of different carts and they're all different colors. And
Oh,
it's got
cute.
like a, yeah, so, and it's got a roof over it, and then it's kind of like enclosed little cart.
Oh, okay.
But the middle part is you can move your arms and stuff out of. I don't know if I'm explaining that good, but you can like flail your arms out of it. Yeah.
Is it like a golf cart?
I mean, it kind of. I guess that's a good way to describe it, but no, it's not. It's on a track.
Oh, okay. A golf
You can
cart
look it up
train
too.
track. What's
Yeah,
it
so
called?
just like Google People Mover Disneyland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What a weird name. I don't like it.
I know. Well, I know it's it fits.
Oh, okay. They're like little blue seats.
Yeah. So
Okay.
in 1987, so same year it opened, Ricky Liyama, a 17-year-old boy, was at Disneyland and he was riding the People Mover with his friends. Now, at 16, 17, you're in your teens, you're probably not really thinking of safety and you're probably wanting to just mess around. You're at Disneyland with your friends. So he starts jumping between the carts.
Oh no.
I know, which in our mind is like, what the fuck? Don't do that.
No.
But I can see as like a teenager, especially a boy,
Yeah,
I can
especially
see
a
them doing
boy.
it. I can really see them doing that. So, anyways, he starts jumping between the moving carts, which quickly turned deadly. While attempting to leap from one cart to another, he lost his footing and he fell right onto the tracks.
Oh God.
And before, obviously, anyone could do anything, the other cart was coming immediately and it ran Ricky over.
Ugh.
A security guard who responded to this happening, he said that when the ride stopped and he walked up to the scene, he said that the boy's head was just like split.
Oh fuck.
Like horrifying.
That's
Horrifying.
gnarly. Oh.
Horrible death.
Yeah, no shit. And just traumatizing for everyone around.
Oh, yeah. And we'll see. There's some other ones that people, like bystanders, had to get treated because of how horrifying some of these were.
Oh God.
And that is not the only death. In 1980, Gerardo Gonzalez, again on grad night, he was around 18 years old. And again, he was riding the People Mover at Disneyland late into the morning. Because again, they hosted those grad nights. Which,
Yeah.
like, how freaking cool is that?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Right? I love that. So again, like others before him, he was jumping between the moving carts when a horrifying death happened. He fell onto the tracks and again was run over by another cart.
So he was doing the same thing?
He was doing the same thing, which carried his body for hundreds of before it finally stopped.
What the hell? Why couldn't they stop it?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Isn't that just horrifying?
And this thing is still running now today.
No, it closed in 1995.
Oh God.
So they kind of do look like little golf carts, but they're not.
Yeah. Okay.
And my mind always goes to, oh my God, what if I'm like on a roller coaster and I go in a loop and the cart falls off the track and I fall to my death. But this is like people fall onto the track and get just ran
completely, demolished.
Okay. Some of the hauntings on this one, there's reports that a man will sometimes appear and okay, again, I don't know, not every death is to a haunting, but there is reports that a man will sometimes appear and women's hair will be pulled.
Oh.
And it's particularly blonde women. But this just immediately makes me think of more of like a child behavior, not a 17-year-old.
No, but 17, 18-year-old boys are usually children mentality.
I hope they're not going around pulling women's hair.
I don't know.
Like, I like you. I'm going to pull your hair.
Yeah, I think guys still do that. Grown men.
That's fucked. But I want to pretend. This reminds me of just childlike behavior. So I don't know. something could have happened on the land before, or
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
they
know.
built it on top of something. Yeah.
Well, and we'll see too. This is a place people love to smuggle in ashes of their loved ones.
Oh, okay.
So
Upsetting.
that's why it makes, I know. So that's why it makes me think like there's probably so much energy floating around this park.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For sure.
Right? Okay. So moving on to the Matterhorn bobsleds, which I am never getting on this ride. And I love rides, but I am never getting on this one. This roller coaster is based on a mountain in the Alps that is between Switzerland and Italy. That's what
Okay.
they've kind of based it on. And it opened in
That's quite
1959.
the range from
Yes.
Switzerland to Italy.
Yeah, it's like
Jesus.
the Alps, like the mount, like it's based off of a certain mountain. Mark was about 15 at the time, and he boarded the Matterhorn bobsleds. And at some point during the ride, we're not really sure if he unclipped himself from the
Ugh.
ride or if a friend did it or if they were just messing around on the ride. We're not sure, but at some point he becomes clipped from his bobsled.
Oh
And
my
at that
God.
point, Mark stands up while he's inside his bobsled. But unfortunately, I think as you would, given the speed of the roller coaster, he lost his foot and he ended up falling outside of his bobsled onto the track below him.
Ah.
So from that, he fractured his skull and his
Oh.
ribs and several horrible internal injuries.
Oh God.
And 3 days later, Mark unfortunately died from these injuries. So he didn't
He
die on the tracks, but he definitely,
succumbed to his injuries. Yeah.
that would be.
Oh God. Why would you do that? Come on, guys.
I know it's really sad because I think at a young age you're just you feel invincible and you're just messing around.
Oh
You're at
yeah.
Disneyland and you're just trying to be like, "Hey, watch this," and something horrifying happens.
Yeah. That's
Another one, Dolly Young, who was actually 48 at the time. She was visiting Disneyland and she went on the Matterhorn bobsleds. And for reasons that are unknown, again, her seatbelt was not fastened during the ride. And we don't know if that was because she unbuckled herself or if she wasn't fastened in the first place. We're really not sure. And it's kind of a mystery.
oh. What the
Um,
hell?
and I kind of went down a Reddit rabbit hole of this. And again, it kind of put me down another direction. So I'll touch a little bit on what I found, but not too much. Um, so at some point during the ride, Dolly flew out of her bobsled cart and she was immediately hit in the head by another cart.
Ah. Oh my
Imagine the
God.
force of that. And that hitting her ended up dragging her and like wedging her underneath the cart.
Oh my God. I can just imagine like hair ripping and skin and
Oh, I know. I guess they had to like take it apart to get her out.
oh my God.
Wedged right in there. And unfortunately,
Oh.
Dolly did die. The park did name a part of the ride, so it happened in a tunnel. They renamed it Dolly's Dip
Oh.
because that's where
I
she
don't know
passed
how I
away.
feel about that. That's
I know
kind
it's
of
kind of like a weird name. I know. I don't know. But they renamed it to her maybe as just a way to make it a little bit less horrifying.
to honor her, I guess, because they're
Some of the paranormal activity that has been reported just from deep dives on the internet I've seen is that in the middle of the tunnel, kind of where Dolly's Dip is, the lights just never seem to work. The employees at the end of the shift, they have to do a walkthrough of the rides. So that's at night and these lights are just not working. Like imagine, I feel like there's something about walking a empty ride.
yeah, it's like almost abandoned feeling.
Yes, yeah, because you go in and the rides are supposed to make you feel like you're in a completely different world.
Yeah.
I guess employees will say that it's just a eerie feeling in there, especially when they do the walkthroughs. And I was on Reddit trying to see if I can find any just stories of people passing through the park who have like, what the fuck happened? Did anybody else experience this? And I did come across a person who worked at Disney a long, long time ago. They explained some really weird happenings. Sometimes they would put people, and this is like not just one employee. He said that he was like, this person said that it was kind of a thing with the employees that they knew about, but they would put people in sleds, like bobsleds. And then
Yeah.
when the ride ended and they came back to the front, people would be in different carts.
What?
One run of the ride will be way longer than, say, another run, which doesn't make
Oh,
sense. Some
time
weird
is
time.
lost.
Yes,
Yeah.
like some weird time loop. People getting out of their seats and moving around. Like,
What the
why would you?
hell?
Some people will, and this part is not just the Matterhorn. This has kind of like a known thing through employees at Disneyland. And again, this is just a Reddit thread of just different people's experiences. But I guess they would seat people on rides, but then those people would just never exit
Oh, so they go into the ride and then not come off it.
and then not come off. And again, the employees have to do a walkthrough of the rides after, and they're not in there.
What the hell?
Or like
That's
they'd
so
seat
weird.
kids, and then the kids would just never exit, and there was no parent complaints or anything.
Yeah, that's not right.
That's fucked.
It's
Um,
scary.
and that's kind of why it you could totally go down another loop of this. That is the Matterhorn. So now I'm going to talk about Tom Sawyer Island. So if you don't know what this is, and I've never been to Disneyland, I've only been to Disney World. So I had to kind of look up a little bit about what this was. And it's kind of a recreational space, like, but still takes you into another like time. So you can roam this island, and there's rides within the island, so you can go look at different scenarios and imagine yourself in these different eras of time. um
Oh,
yeah, and so there's a boat ride there, and it goes through what they've named Rivers of America.
it
So
sounds
it had
cool.
I know, and it's honestly been named a couple different things, and right now it's a pirate. It has a pirate twist on it, but it's actually going to be closing and turning into another scene. The layout and the feel of it is going to look like the landscape that's on the Cars movies, if I'm which I think would be so cool. So it opened in 1956, and in 1973, again, we have teenagers and kids that are just messing around, and tragedy happens. Bowden Dilront, correct me if I'm saying that wrong, he was just 18 years old. Him and his 10-year-old brother decided that they were going to try and stay in Disneyland after it closed, which people do. People do
Yeah.
this just to see how it feels. And I mean, thinking back, it's kind of a sweet story. I mean, these two brothers were just trying to look for an adventure together, and it ended terribly.
Like, what time does Disney actually close? I thought it was kind of a 24-hour thing.
I don't know. I really don't. I don't think it's a 24-hour thing. I think it's like closes really late and opens really early, but there's got to be like some time where they have to shut down.
Okay.
I mean, but then you get into like the it's a small world, and I guess some of the animatronics they never shut off, which is just so fucking creepy. Yeah,
That's
so
so great.
creepy. And it's such a creepy ride to begin with. Yeah. So they were just trying to find an adventure, but unfortunately, what was meant to be a fun overnight thing turned very tragic. The two were they were hiding out in the Tom Sawyer Island. And after the park closed and they decided that they were going to leave, they tried to just swim across the rivers of America. And his younger brother couldn't really swim well. So he was on Bowden's back.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he was getting tired and he drowned.
Oh my God, both of them?
No, the older one. And the younger one was able to somewhat tread water until he was found.
Oh my
And his
God.
brother's body was found shortly after.
Oh my God. That's
Isn't that
horrifying.
isn't
That's
that so
horrific.
sad?
That is so sad.
So I can't
Oh
even
my God,
imagine.
that poor kid.
On another grad night celebration, I love the grad night idea, but I'm just not sure if there's enough supervision.
Nah.
18-year-old Phil, him and his friends, they were out there for grad night and hanging out and having fun. And they were like, you know what? Let's go on Tom Sawyer Island. Why not? There's boats everywhere. So they decided they were going to take a maintenance boat out onto the water and just take it for a little cruise. But the water's only about like 4 feet deep in some places.
Okay.
Like it's not an actual lake.
No.
So they ended up hitting a rock, from what I'm gathering. And Phil was thrown from the boat and he died.
Oh my God, how fast were they going? Jesus. Yeah, no, I know. And then, yeah, you,
In another instance, and now this is, I couldn't find any reports on this, but it is said that back in the 1900s, two girls died in a flood.
oh no. Oh, before everything happened. Okay.
And it's also, as I mentioned before, people love to, for some reason, bring their loved ones' ashes into the happiest place on earth.
Oh,
And
yeah.
this is a very popular spot that people like to ashes into.
What, in a man-made lake?
Just anywhere on this attraction. So in the caves,
Oh,
on the, like everywhere.
they
Because
must,
it's not just a boat
loved
ride.
ones much, their loved ones must have really loved going there.
Disney actually has like a code word for this because it happens so much.
That's so crazy.
I know. So again, some paranormal activity that has been reported for this is people just have an uncomfortable feeling. I think some people who are in tuned just have a weird feeling when they're on this island or they're within the tunnels and the caves of this island. Some reports have been about shadowy figures running around, or
Hmm.
people, or you'll be looking off onto the island and you'll see somebody just staring back at you.
Oh, weird.
There's been reports of kids laughing, running around,
Oh.
which
Hmm.
is just scary. And but then my mind immediately goes to, is it like shadowy figures as in ghosts or entities, or is it an actual shadow people? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. What if there
I
was
want to
like,
do an
it'd be
episode on
creepy
that. Yeah,
on
I want
shadow
to do an
people? What?
episode on shadow. Yeah.
I was just thinking about like hearing like screaming coming from one of the lakes or something like that.
That's so
That'd be
creepy.
creepy.
Yeah. Okay, so next we're going to talk about America Sings, and this is, I was shocked when I read this. It's pretty horrifying what happened. But if you don't know what America Sings is, it's basically a rotating theater that's a tribute to the US bicentennial. So it's got 6 separate theater rooms, like sitting areas where people go, atriums or whatever. People will go in and there's 6 separate sections, and then the stage, like from what I'm gathering, the stage rotates. So you,
Okay.
each show, like each theater room of seating gets its own show. So it just rotates around.
Oh, okay.
The animatronic animals on this are fucking terrifying to look at.
Yeah, I bet.
Really scary. It was opened in 1974. They have huge, you should Google this just so you get a feel of what we're looking at.
What's it called again?
Because America Sings Disneyland. It's not there anymore, but the structure and everything is, yeah. So it's got huge bald eagles and
Oh
geese,
my
turkeys,
God.
dogs. Yeah. Creepy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah. And it, like every 4 minutes, it will rotate.
What a weird idea.
Yeah. So in 1974, when it opened, Deborah Gale Stone, freshly out of high school, she's 18 years old. She's like, I'm going to go work at Disney to save up some money. So she starts working as a hostess there. And her job was to greet guests as they entered the America Sings attraction, which, like I said, it just opened. But 8 days into her employment and the attraction being open, something, and I keep saying horrifying, but seriously, something really fucking horrifying happens. And something people just wouldn't expect. Somehow, while moving between the rotating wall and the stationary wall, her standing there and just like greeting people in and everything, Deborah was crushed to death.
Oh my God.
Like crushed. I guess, guests would be entering and they would just hear blood curdling screams.
Oh my God.
And people literally thought that nobody had been on it before. People thought that it was a part of this.
Why?
I tried to look into just the nitty-gritty of how this happened, but it just was a freak accident. It's just got stuck between it.
Christ.
It was like pinned her in it.
Ugh, that's horrible.
Then when they figured out that it wasn't part of the ride, then they obviously shut it down and stuff started happening to try to get Deborah out of there, but unfortunately she did die.
God damn.
Only 3 days later, they reopened this with more safety lights, and they added, instead of them being like one stationary wall and rotating wall, they made breakaway walls.
Oh man, I wouldn't go in there.
And I know it eventually closed in 1988.
Good God. It should have
Imagine
closed
how
the
many
next
people went in
day.
there and somebody was just crushed to death. That is so sad. She's just trying to make some money. Who would ever think that that would happen?
No, and it was such a cool new thing too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, paranormal activity that is reported around this area. Sometimes people will hear like, be careful,
Oh,
which is so scary.
yeah, that is really
Um,
scary.
some people have reported seeing a man in the area, and I guess that's attributed to the death on the People Mover because it's very near the back of America Sings.
Oh, okay.
So I think there's a lot of just residual stuff going
Yeah,
on in this
there
area.
has to
I
be.
think there's a lot of tragedy that's happened around here. But nothing very specific in that area. So I hope that they are okay in the afterlife.
Yeah, that be careful. That's creepy.
Yeah, that's scary. So, Sailing Ship of Columbia is a massive attraction. It is modeled after the 1790s trading vessel, and it carries up to 300 guests. Oh, and it opened in 1958.
Okay.
However, on Christmas Eve one year, tragedy happened again. As the ride ended and the ship was docking, it had approached the dock just a little bit too fast. And an employee who didn't normally work on this ride, who was just helping out another employee, um, they noticed that it was docking a little bit too fast, but they tied the rope on the dock anyways to try to like stop it. But because of the speed, the rope became like crazy taut, as you can imagine, and it
Yeah.
snapped.
Oh
And
my God.
it sent the rope and an 8-pound cleat, like metal cleat, across the dock. And
Ah,
it smashed Loon Dawson, who was 33 years old,
ah.
directly in the face.
Oh my God.
This caused a huge brain hemorrhage and skull fractures to him.
Oh my God.
His wife, Liu Vong, was also hit in the face,
Damn.
causing some severe disfigurement and ending on the employee disfiguring their foot.
Oh Jesus, that's horrible.
It's horrible. Unfortunately, Luan Dawson did die from his injuries.
Yeah.
Now, after this happened, it was absolute chaos, and people were so horrified that they required medical treatment themselves.
Could you imagine seeing that? Like shit.
I would have nightmares. I feel like I'd close my eyes and I'd see that cleat flying
Yeah, and like, or what their face looked
or
like
their
after.
face after. Yes.
Oh
And
man.
terrifying. This boat did have poor maintenance, and this is one of the attractions that employees brought up many issues with the condition of the boat and the dock and everything. police did come to the scene, of course, but they were put into a conference room for hours. And when they come out of the conference room, everything was cleaned up by the park.
Oh, of course.
So they didn't get to do like a thorough investigation into it. Like I said, this was the first accident that was ruled the park's fault. And it prompted California to enact a law that required all theme parks to report injuries to the state, which I feel like should be a thing anyways. So Big Thunder Mountain Railroad opened in 1979, and it is based off of kind of a gold mining operation, the feel of it. So it's a gold mining roller coaster. 22 years old, Marcelo Torres went to Disneyland and got on the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad roller coaster. Unfortunately, while he was on this, the roller coaster derailed inside of a tunnel,
Oh my God.
and which was caused by some maintenance and mechanical failures. When this happened, all of a sudden, visitors, riders of this started just running out of the tunnel and screaming. And it turns out that Marcelo, unfortunately, when the train derailed, it crushed him and he bled to death.
Oh my God. And people just started fleeing.
Yeah, to try to get help. Like, just terrifying.
Scary.
So Roger Rabbit Cartoon Spin is no longer there, but it did open in 1996. Have you ever watched Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
I don't think you could really find it nowadays. I haven't tried, but this is an older movie, and this track, the ride is based off of the Roger Rabbit movie. It's a dark kind of theme to it. If you've seen the movie, you'll get it.
Yeah.
You through Toontown. So
Okay.
in September of 2000, the Zucker family was on vacation in Disneyland when an unimaginable tragedy happened. While riding Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, the Zucker family's 4-year-old son, Brandon, fell from his ride and ended up being trapped under the cart.
Oh my God.
Body was
I keep saying that, but it's
half.
like, oh my God.
I know.
Sorry.
His body was folded underneath the car.
Oh, that's horrible.
And it took 10 minutes before they came to take him out.
Oh, that would
Like,
be a lifetime.
Oh my God. I'm just sick thinking about oh my God. So Brandon survived that initial. Yes, Brandon survived that. His life was nothing like it was before, just at 4 years old. He never walked or talked again after that day.
Or talked?
No, his mother, Victoria, she said in an interview how she would just sit by his hospital bed and she would just repeat phrases that he used to love to hear. One of them was, "I have an idea."
Oh.
Terrible. Brandon ended up living on for 8 more years until he passed away at the age of 13.
Wow.
Due to these injuries.
Oh, okay.
Victoria, his mom, said again that she just imagines him after he passed making up for lost time. He's running around and he's playing on his scooter in heaven, and he's finally free from how he was feeling.
Oh, that's so sad.
Sick. It was later revealed that Brandon, unfortunately, was not properly secured in the seat or placed in the correct order on the seat. So they were supposed to put smallest kids, further from the opening of the ride, so he wouldn't fall out because there was no lap bars on this.
So before this ends, I just want to say that I'm never taking my kids there now, so you've ruined it for me. No, that's horrifying.
I'm already neurotic to begin with of just anything happening. Like, I'd love to track my kids, and this just scares the shit out of me. But we have to remember that millions of people stroll through Disneyland a day and come out on the other end perfectly fine. There's a lot more protocols now. But yeah, that is freak accidents that led to deaths on Disney rides. I hope you all enjoyed the episode, and if any of you have been to the Disney parks or worked there and have some stories that you want to share, please send them over. We would love those, and maybe we can include them in another Disney episode. But that is it for this week. We will talk to all you creatures next episode. And that's it for this week.
Remember, it's a dark world out there. See you
See you
creatures next week.